Let's go to Epiqode.
Elle est toujours là.
I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's shoe is preferable to Mrs. Hudson.
Here you are. I'm very glad that you have come, but perhaps I should not have troubled you after all.
And why is that?
Lady Brackenstall has come to her senses, and she has given so clear an account of the affair that there is not much left for us to do. You remember that Lewisham gang of burglars?
What, the three Randalls?
Exactly. The father and two sons. It's their work. They stole a silver service, which is of great value.
Sir Eustace Brackenstall is dead, then?
Yes. His head was knocked in with his own poker.
A violent act of aggression.
Yes, the poor lady. She has had a most dreadful experience. She was assaulted and tied to a chair. But I think that you would best see her and hear her account of the facts. She's in the morning room with her maid, Teresa Wright.
Where is the body of the deceased?
In the dining room. We haven't touched anything.
All right, I'm going to examine it.
Very good, Watson.
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Lord George Brackenstall. Sir Warthen Brackenstall. Lord Ramsay Brackenstall. Baron Lyndon Brackenstall.
Lady Brackenstall awaits you in the morning room.
Ladies, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm assisting Inspector Lestrade in this investigation.
Mr. Holmes, I am the wife of Sir Eustace Brackenstall. We were married only a year ago.
I am sorry for your loss. Please accept my deepest condolences.
I suppose that it is no use my attempting to conceal that our marriage has not been a happy one. I fear that all would tell you that, even if I were to attempt to deny it.
You mentioned that your marriage was not a happy one. Was there anything specific that was troubling you?
He was not a nice man when he was drunk, and he suffered from dark moods, but nothing else.
The bruises on your hands are at least 1 week old. Your husband caused those bruises?
Oh, do you? Yes, he did. He was very angry at the time, out of control. Again. Sir Eustace was a drunkard. To be tied to such a man for life is worse than death.
Can you describe to me the events of yesterday evening?
Is it really necessary? I have already told Inspector Lestrade all that happened.
Yes, madam, it is.
I will tell you then. Sir Eustace retired about 10:30. I sat in this room until after 11, absorbed in a book. Before I went upstairs, I entered the dining room to fetch a candle and... oh God.
Please, go on.
As I approached the French window, I found myself face to face with an elderly, broad-shouldered man who had just stepped into the room. Close behind the first man, I saw 2 others. One of them struck me a savage blow with his fist and felled me unconscious to the ground.
And then?
When I came to myself, I found that they had secured me tightly to a dining room chair. It was at that instant my unfortunate husband entered the room.
He fought with the intruders?
Yes, I think he had heard them, for he was holding his stick. But they were 3, and he eventually succumbed. One of them, the elder one, struck him a terrible blow with the poker. I fainted once more. When I opened my eyes, they had withdrawn. Brave Teresa came to my assistance.
C'est la femme de chambre. Le coupable.
Did these
Enfin, la
villains
coupable.
steal anything?
Yes, I found that they had taken the silver from the sideboard. You can see for yourself in the dining room.
Elle
Your ladyship.
est amoureuse de la femme de chambre. Ils ont voulu faire jouer l'assurance. Et du coup, le mari n'était pas content.
The description of the Randall gang provided by Lady Brackenstall is identical to the one in the Times article.
Ouais, c'est pour ça que c'est chelou.
These scratches are most definitely made by the picture frame.
Tin, 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 tabarada,
This
tada.
is Sir Eustace's safe. There may be something important inside. I must ask Lady Brackenstall to open it. This photograph of Lady Brackenstall and her maid Teresa was taken at a port, but which so the lady and her maid came from Australia
Eh ouais,
on this ship.
elles sont de mèche toutes les deux. Et mademoiselle.
Teresa, I would
Certainly, sir.
Alors que je t'examine un peu. Ouh là là, des taches de sang. Ah, café, pardon.
As I sat by my bedroom window, I saw three men in the moonlight bound by the lodge door. But I thought nothing of it at the time. If I'd known...
Then,
I went to bed, and it was more than an hour after that I heard my mistress speaking. And down I ran, to find her tied to the chair and him on the floor with his head smashed. That's all I know.
Pour l'instant, pour moi, c'est pas eux. Parce que pour l'instant, il n'y a rien qui prouve que... Il y a rien qui prouve que ce soit eux.
Lady Brackenstall, could you open this wall safe?
No, it is my husband's safe. I don't know the combination.
We have to open it.
C'est pas grave.
Ladyship,
Je vais le forcer.
let us try to open this safe.
Ouais.
This safe can be cracked. I only have to pay attention. The dial will vibrate when it is set to the correct number.
Menteuse.
Oh, what a horrible.
Bah, l'idée de la rencontre n'est pas impossible.
Oh, what a horrible.
What do you know about Sir Eustace, Inspector? What was his reputation?
A charming man when sober, but an absolute demon when he was drunk. In such moments he was apparently capable of anything. Why, once he splashed fuel.
Le mari a frappé la femme.
Set it alight.
La femme de chambre l'a assommé. Enfin, manque de bol l'a tué.
The alcohol seemed to madden him.
To the point that we were forced to intervene several times to avoid a scandal.
J'ai déjà trouvé qui c'est.
You should examine the body of Sir Eustace Brackenstone.
A trapper's hut. A trapper's hut. A hunter's cabin. A hunting scene. So, Watson, what have you learned from examining Sir Eustace's body?
Well, I can confirm that the death was instant. Sir Eustace was facing his attacker when he received the blow to his head. No other apparent injuries.
Antique hunting weapons. This candlestick is valuable. It is interesting that it was not also stolen. An empty silverware box. It appears that the intruders have stolen the contents.
Joli, c'est un coup des deux femmes.
These wine bottles are expensive, and mostly from France. A bottle of wine is missing here. The criminals did not thoroughly ransack the house. They only took a little silverware. The hunting scene. Sailor's knots. That's interesting. This rope was handled by the murderers. We need a scent hound to follow their trail. I will take it with me. This is the chair that Lady Brackenstall was tied to.
Il n'y a que 3 verres.
This glass has some wine traces, but no visible beeswing. There is beeswing at the bottom, as if the wine had not been decanted before being poured. This glass has some wine traces, but it is rather strange that only one of these glasses has dregs of beeswing inside it, while the other two are clear. A decanter standing next to the open bottle, an inseparable pair indeed. Chateau Calon-Ségur, French wine, Grand Cru.
Il n'y a que 3 verres. examinons le cadavre.
Quite a large stick, a formidable weapon. Barefoot, he had therefore been in bed and did not have time to fully dress. That must be the murder weapon. The head was cracked with the force of the blow.
Let us see how the rope was cut. The fibers at the end of the rope are smoothly cut. Let us try to find out what tool was used to cut the rope. The fibers from this cut appear to be different. The fibers from this... If I cut the rope with a knife, it matches the original. Come on, Toby. We need the best nose in the British Empire on this case. I agree with you, Toby, that Watson's...
Someone should take Toby for a walk.
A map of London and the surrounding area. It could be useful. I agree with you, Toby, that... This is where I keep my post. Search, Toby.
J'ai un meilleur flair que le chien.
The intruders entered the shed for some reason when they were making off with the silverware. Brave Toby, the best nose in the British Empire. recently moved. Small gardening tools, nothing of great interest. This old suitcase sounds hollow. It must be empty. There's something glittering at the bottom.
Da 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 da.
Silverware. This is hardly a coincidence. The Brackenstall coat of arms. It appears that we have found the stolen silverware.
Ça peut pas être les Randall, je pense. C'est trop incertain. Voilà. Pour moi, c'est trop évident que c'est un faux vol. Et qu'il s'agit d'un accident conjugal. Pour moi, ça paraît trop évident, quoi.
Brave Toby. The best nose in the British Empire. Inspector, I have recovered the stolen silverware.
You are a wizard, Mr. Holmes. And where is it?
In the garden well.
Excuse me?
Unique, isn't it?
Oh, sir. What is the point of stealing silverware and then throwing it down into a well?
Perhaps it was used as a temporary hiding place, or simply the thieves wanted to get rid of it. It is up to us to solve this mystery.
Pour moi, ça me paraît tellement évident. Elles sont peut-être pas bien grandes, mais ils ont utilisé la chaise pour... Non, ça se trouve. Lui, l'a ligoté.
We found your silverware, Lady Brackenstall. It had not been taken very far.
Is that true? I am very thankful to you, Mr. Holmes.
Your
Elle
ladyship.
a l'air tellement convaincu.
We found your mistress's silverware.
Oh, that's good news. You really are as clever as they say.
Indeed.
Yeah.
My search must be focused upon the ship's name. My search must be focused upon the ship's name and year of voyage.
Ah, c'est tellement flagrant. Miss Mary Fraser, héritière d'une famille de propriétaires terriens qui ont fait fortune dans les mines d'État en Australie. Maintenant, elle est actuellement avec un des gars les plus riches.
Here it is.
Elle veut encore plus de pognon.
The shipping company, the Adelaide, Southampton, London line, and its address. Interesting.
Du
It must be the
pognon.
place where they keep their goods, including the one for the crew of the Rock of Gibraltar.
I think that if you pretend you're from Scotland Yard, they'll give it to you without any problems.
But I have another solution. I'll call in the specialist.
Wiggins, c'est le gamin de la fenêtre, ça.
Brave Wiggins, could you come upstairs, please?
At your service, Mr. Holmes.
I need a register, my young friend. If you could borrow it, there will be half a guinea for every one of you. I need the crew list of the Rock of Gibraltar in 1893 and their current employment.
I'm straight on it, Mr. Holmes.
Do you really think they'll find it, Holmes?
My secret police is better than the Yard in many ways.
Here it is, Mr. Holmes. But we can't take it back. It's too risky.
Put it on the table. I'll take care of it. Good work, young Wiggins. This list shows the senior officers of the Rock of Gibraltar, on which Lady Brackenstall and her maid made their voyage. Lady Brackenstall does not know anyone in England. This must mean that someone on this list is our mysterious visitor. And these are the lists of the senior officers of the Adelaide, Southampton, London line ships. Let us find out who was in London upon November the 7th. This list shows that this officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime. This officer was on a ship that sailed half a month ago. He wasn't in London at the time of the crime.
Ça nous laisse 3 personnes.
This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. This officer is still at sea, therefore he cannot be involved. Mr. Jack Crocker was in London upon the date of the crime, and he is due to depart in 2 days. Captain Jack Crocker is our mysterious visitor. He was the only one around at the time of the murder.
Ouais, pour moi, ça me paraît trop gros.
It would be interesting to meet him. Our young friend should be able to find him. Wiggins, could you find a way to bring this Captain Crocker here to us?
Here? Holmes, that could be dangerous.
No problem, Mr. Holmes.
Mr. Holmes, I was informed that you were looking for me, and I'd like to know why.
Yes, it is important that we talk. You will soon understand why.
Hop, laisse-moi t'analyser la tronche. Regard franc honnête. Il y a un petit bouton là. Pantalon dégueulasse.
You are acquainted with Lady Mary Brackenstall, are you not?
Yes, I think I do remember her. When I was first officer, but I still don't see...
It seems your relationship went beyond that of mere passenger and first officer.
How dare you?
Indeed, how reckless a feeling is love, particularly if one is prepared to commit a murder in its name.
Explain yourself this instant.
You are aware that the murder made the headlines of the morning press. You read the newspaper report, but to your dismay, found it much fabricated. Once you learned that I wanted to see you, you came straight away. You needed to know what I had found.
You... and what do you know?
That evening, you were with Lady Brackenstall, despite the danger.
I'm not afraid, Mr. Holmes. Besides, all of this is just guesswork.
You would be right if there was no evidence.
What then?
Lady Brackenstall was tied to a chair on the night of the murder. And it was you who tied her up.
You call that evidence?
Yes, as she was tied with a sailor's knot. Your handiwork.
So, it's a sailor who's done it. That proves nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'm not the only sailor in London right now. Your theory is flawed anyway. On the night of the murder, I was aboard the Sharp. I was supervising the repair of a porthole.
At night?
It was an emergency. There was a leak. You can ask the ship's carpenter. He can confirm.
I'm sure that he can.
Perfect. In that case, we have nothing more to talk about. Good evening, gentlemen.
Non, pour moi, c'est pas lui.
Holmes, what should we do now? Would you like to check his alibi?
No. There is no doubt that these men will testify in his favor, and there will be no way to check.
So, what then?
So, we must work with what we have. We have all the puzzle pieces.
Now I understand why you dissected the bell rope.
Hmm. Je sais pas, l'histoire elle me paraît beaucoup trop grosse. Attends. Non, ça peut pas être... Ça colle trop bien, quoi. Mais j'ai tellement envie de croire que c'est l'accident conjugal, quoi.
What should we do next, Holmes?
J'aurais pas déjà fini l'enquête. Non, pour moi, c'est plus un accident conjugal. Mais bon, c'est vrai que... Ouais, mais le fait que l'argenterie fut volée... Ah, enfin, pseudo volée... Parce qu'il y a cette partie-là, quoi. Ils ont tenté de maquiller le crime avec le vol de l'argenterie, comme faisaient les Randall. C'est ce qui collait depuis le début, quoi. Pour moi, c'est ça.
I have reached my conclusion, Lestrade. I regret that your culprits are in the next room.
Lady Brackenstall and her maid?
Yes, and their mise en scene after the death of Sir Eustace can only point to premeditation.
That's terrible. Follow me. I'm going to arrest them. Ladies, I must...
What? We are innocent. Madam!
You'll tell that to the judge. Come with me.
You were making a serious mistake, Inspector. You too, Mr. Holmes, which is rather surprising of you.
Or rather, impossible.
Bon. Pourtant, ça paraissait tellement gros. Ce serait quand même abusé. Que du coup... Eh ben écoutez, on va essayer comme ça, et puis si c'est pas ça, bah encore tant pis.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker to come here?
Right. Why did you make me come here again, Mr. Holmes?
It is over. I know that it was you who killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots, and not least the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
I admit that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again. But it turned into a damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear. And it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this. You should have let me die. How can I live if Mary suffers?
I am sorry, Captain Crocker, but there has been quite enough death in this case. Inspector, I give you Sir Eustace's killer. He tried his best to perform his own justice.
Well, I'm not surprised. Yes, it was me. I confess.
Here is a piece of evidence that can be used in court.
Perfect. A case that went smoothly for once.
Bah, c'est lui le meurtrier, mais pour le coup... Voilà, c'est si j'applique tout à la lettre comme la loi le dit, on peut pas faire justice soi-même, blablabla blablabla. Si je pense à ma propre gueule, ouais, je vais faire justice moi-même. Donc lui, c'est le seul mec que je vais absoudre. C'est le seul mec que je vais absoudre. Ouais. La légitime défense.
Wiggins, could you ask Mr. Crocker?
Ouais, tout de suite, plus tard. Ouais, la légitime défense. Ouais, par contre, le fait qu'ils accusent tout de suite les Randall
It is over.
dès le
I know
départ,
that
c'était
it was
trop
you who
abusé.
killed Sir Eustace Brackenstall.
What?
I know, because of the height at which the rope was cut. The knife used was a sea knife. The knots were sailor's knots. And not least, the sheer force that was put behind the killing blow. And because you are the only one who knows Lady Mary Brackenstall in London. And because you love her.
It's true.
It is time for you to tell us the whole truth.
On a été rapide
I
cette
admit
enquête.
that I loved Mary madly from the first day that I met her. But I never did come to visit her, for I believed that she was in a happy household. When I talked to her maid, who told me everything, I was insane with rage. I was due to set sail for 6 months away. I wanted only to see her again.
Légitime défense.
Damnable nightmare when he barged in. He dared raise his hand to her. He was not even worthy of licking her boots. Oh, I regret nothing. I admit I killed the monster out of love for her. She will forgive me if she is able.
Lady Brackenstall already forgave you. She said nothing.
Mary.
But that makes her an accomplice as well as her maid. It places her in danger yet again.
Mr. Holmes.
You would not have managed to protect her.
Till I die, do you hear me? Here is a letter that sets everything clear. And it is the one that should be disclosed to the police. I am the only culprit. Mary had nothing to do with it. Now it is time to end this.
Please forgive me, Captain Crocker. I wished only to test your sincerity, and your words and deeds have far exceeded my expectations. See here, Captain Crocker, we'll do this in due form of law. You are the prisoner. Watson, you are a British jury. Captain Crocker, the evidence shows that you acted without premeditation and used reasonable force to protect an innocent victim from her husband's brutality. Your devotion pushed you to attempt to kill yourself in order to protect the one you love. Now, what say you, gentlemen of the jury?
Not guilty, my lord.
Vox populi, vox dei. You are acquitted, Captain Crocker. So long as the law does not find some other victim, you are safe from me.
Mr. Holmes.
It is a great responsibility that I take upon myself, but I will give Lestrade an excellent lead, and if he can't avail himself of it, I can do no more. Come back to your lady in a year, and may her future and yours justify us in the judgment which we have pronounced this night.
Ouais.
Inspector, I'm afraid that the murderers have escaped us.
What? Do you mean to tell me that you failed? Never thought I'd live to see the day.
I mentioned the murderers, not the case. It is obvious that the crime was committed by 3 criminals who cannot be the Randalls.
You really think so?
You only need to find a gang of 3 thugs wandering around. I can trust you to do that.
If they exist, I'll catch them.
You'll find someone, I have no doubt of it. Goodbye, Inspector.
Holmes, for heaven's sake, whatever's going on?
Oh, hello, Watson. You're early. Did you kill all of your patients?
What? Holmes, where have all these wretched bees come from?
I increased the temperature of the room so as to prevent them from hibernating. I needed to take a sample of honey. But it worked, Watson. We will have honey all year round.
Ridiculous and dangerous.
They're domestic bees, Apis mellifera, such industrious workers. Anyway, Watson, I am sorry, but I must leave you. I'm in rather a hurry.
You have a new case?
Yes, but nothing as thrilling as this experiment. A theft of plants at the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew. I'm helping a minister who's an old friend of mine. You can join me if you like.
Well, I'll admit that I'd far rather accompany you than remain alone here with these workers of yours. Besides, you'll need a helping hand with the flowers you're intending to bring back.
Watson, However did you guess?
For the great Sherlock Holmes to bother with the theft of plants. Come on, admit that you're planning to spoil your little bees with some rare pollens.
Since when did I become so transparent? Let us go.
Et pour le coup, ça c'était un vrai meurtre. Ça c'était pour éviter un conflit international. Donc j'ai préféré utiliser le frère de Sherlock pour gérer l'histoire. Là pour le coup c'était clairement un pur meurtre pour l'argent. Et là, légitime défonce et du coup, je le laissais partir. Hop.
A map of London and the surrounding area. It could...
Bon bah voilà. Moi il y a une lettre de remerciement. Et du coup, nous verrons cette enquête demain.
I wasn't aware that you were Watson's new literary agent.
Ouais, parce qu'il est temps d'aller au plumard. Allez, la bonne soirée. Les bisous.